Dr. Leslie Dobson. Lip surgery or whatever, lip filler, whatever. Not so much in this one, I guess. Maybe she went through that phase and not anymore. This was from 4 months ago. Hold on, let me get a water break. Yeah, yeah, that's strep throat. That never-ending strep throat. She had it 4 times in like 3 months or something. I need to like lay back. Oh gosh, this feels kind of nice with my head. Okay, so this is it. This is the kind of the only thing. Okay, I'm gonna leave this up here, but before I get into this particular stuff, just from the basics of hair education, because it's understandably questioned, and it brings up a point that, not something that we all kind of know already. I think that not everyone, just because they got a degree, just because they have a title, just because they work in a hospital. She doesn't work in a hospital, but just because they're there doesn't mean that they're unfallible or they're perfect or they're even good at what they do. So I think this is one of those cases. However, I think it is tough because this is a thing that I am understanding at this moment in time, that she can call herself a doctor endlessly because she has the PsyD, which is a doctorate program, um, which is like a PhD, but not. It's like for psychology, anyways. Let me actually pull up like that definition. And then, so yes, doesn't mean, like I said, it seems like she's not APA member, accredited, whatever. She's not part of the American Psychology Association. And therefore, it makes sense why she can just say whatever she feels like it. Because there's not much to be done. Like, nothing can be done. She can talk about her past experience, which is factual because she did it. She can carry this name. Maybe it can be taken away, but I don't think so, because she has the degree. And people are not necessarily going to look, when searching her on TikTok, no one's going to look her up on APA to see if she is a member of it and all that stuff. So we go into that gray area of like, people can say whatever they want to say at the end of the day. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's getting to that point where I've been talking a lot. Hold on. Oh, it was too good, too long. Let's see what ChatGPT says about PsyD, because I don't remember. Okay, so to train psychologists to become practicing clinicians, not necessarily researchers or professors. Heavy emphasis on psychotherapy, psychological assessment, and hands on clinical work. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. It's aligned with what I remember, but I couldn't remember to say it. So, yeah, I remember because when I was looking at degrees, like I wanted a PsyD because it was more this way. However, a lot of PsyD um, degrees are not accredited. But yeah, a lot of PsyDs are not accredited to um, the APA or by the APA. But this one seems to be from Loma Linda University, which is a Christian university. And though she said, we'll get into, she says she's been an atheist, brought up as an atheist, which is like, really? I don't know. I feel like I don't know that many atheists. Like people who are not religious, but like whatever. Yeah. Let me take a moment. Sorry. I'm going to have to put you on hold for a second. Because the only really this kind of works, but the only thing that works is blowing my nose, and I'm not going to subject you to that. So I'm gonna put like a musical break for like 30 seconds, and I'll be right back to this. I don't remember where the BRB. Oh, there we go. All right. I'm not feeling 100% there, but better. All right. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, nothing on the line to lose. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I get it actually was kind of nice to take like just like a moment break. Probably for all of us. I know when the rare occasion I know actually Brianna you did this a couple of lives ago and then Lauren has done that in the past and it's like wow, this actually feels nice to have like a little intermission because these are long as like a viewer. So hopefully it felt more like that than, you know, like, Rena. Okay. On her website, she basically says that she's been a clinical psychologist with over 20 years of experience providing therapy and assessment services. She says this is not word for word necessarily. She specializes in evidence based clinical intervention for trauma, civil litigation, and personal injury assessment, which makes me think to the point that Lauren and Kirsty brought up, is she working with the Lively team? And is she being fed stuff from their side? Or like they see her and like, oh, we want to work with her because she can provide credibility to us or whatever. Um, Possible. And then her education. So I need to make this bigger. Why is this not big? What the heck? Sorry. Huh, that's weird. Anyways, her education is she has a Bachelor of Science at Colorado State University in psychology. She has a Master of Science at University College London in psychology. That's in England. I didn't look that school up. I don't know that the schools matter that much, and which is what I said earlier, and I'll say that again, that people can go to school and study the same thing and come out differently based on the people they are. She has a Master of Arts from Loma Linda University, pursued further graduate study and received an MA from there. Doesn't say in one. And then she has a PsyD, Doctor of Psychology, from Loma Linda University, where, yeah, in psychology, in forensic psychology, clinical and forensic. In 2012, she graduated. I don't know why that's important. I guess why did they even say that? I don't know. Loma Linda University is a Christ Center. Because I'm like, what is the? I've never even heard of this university. A Christ centered Seventh Day Adventist University. That's interesting. Dedicated to mission focused learning through the integration of health, science, and faith. You know what's interesting also is that who didn't people on the internet say that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds might be Seventh Day Adventists or whatever, something weird like that. Like not like or Mormons. Some is that the same thing? No, that's Latter Day Saints, right? Or something. I don't know. I don't know. America has so many different Christians, but something like that. So I don't know if that's like anything, but she doesn't sound like anyone that's religious. I don't know. I haven't, but again, this is like early days. Besides, like back in the day when all of this started and seeing on TikTok some of the like just really bad advice, bad stuff, like unethical comments she made. Besides that, I'm not even talking about factual lies or whatever that she made about Justin or whatever. I'm just talking about the psychology part of it that was unethical. What she said was like not exactly truthful or like good. So that's what I was talking about. Anyways, so besides that, I haven't really watched her because it was really hard to watch her. And we had bigger fish, on the frying pan. So I'm gonna watch more and see. But what all I've seen, she doesn't come across as someone who's uh maybe even spiritual, much less devout Christian. So I can believe that she was raised atheist. I don't know, but she met her husband there. The likelihood of her husband there also not being religious is like low. So that's probably like influence. And the only reason I say that is that I don't know about this type of Christianity and religion, but there are some like questionable Christianity religions, religions that, and I'm not saying this one is one of them, but there are some that are more like sects and stuff than honorable ones. So that can also cloud someone's judgment, and it can lean more towards um, conspiracy theories type of mentality, where your reality perception can be distorted. So that's why I mentioned I don't know anything about Seventh day Adventist. I can look it up now, but I don't know anything about it. And I won't know that much about it just from looking it up. But I am curious now. What do they believe? Makes sense. They use people like her for trials. Yeah, I think they can't find a licensed or professional that are willing to put their careers on the line. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, didn't Amber Heard have someone? Maybe court of random opinion. She also mentioned how her family members that work in psychology, in the psychology field, they refuse to have opinions because it's kind of like not actually golden as a lawyer. She's like, I don't want to be disbarred. I have strong ethical rules around my profession that, yeah, like someone can technically bend around it or whatever, but like she prefers not to. She has high ethics, but I think people can bend. And so this is what's interesting about this Leslie girl, woman. She's not a girl. What's interesting is that twice in this interview she mentions things that shows that her character seems to bend ethics, be okay with bending ethics, doesn't have a strong sense of responsibility and morality. She might be legally safe, but that's why I'm saying like ethics and morality, which are not governed technically. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting like that. I'll point that out when we get there. But so she would be, even if she would be licensed, she would be someone who would push the boundaries of what that is, of ethics. I heard Blake saying she's Cherokee means she was a slave owner. What? She was admitting her ancestors were. Oh boy. Blake's lawyers know a lot about bending. Yeah, I mean, well, any lawyer, I feel like, honestly, right? I think even Brian Friedman, as much as like we're rooting for him and we're on his side, but like any lawyer will be there for their clients. Number one, if they're not getting paid, maybe, but like you're getting paid, I don't know, like you sign up for that. And it's hard when you're like signing up for something, and if you find out like, oh yeah, like I shouldn't have taken this case, because I'm sure that happens, maybe not a lot, but I'm sure it happens at least a few times in a lawyer's career. I was gonna say that, but also I think there must be also some displacement where, yeah, at the end of the day, it's about the client and maybe not so much about like ethics. I don't know. Like I think of Suits LA, they cover that topic, which yes, I had started watching. I think right now it's on pause or whatever, summer break or whatever. So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, the Cherokee and so, I don't know. I don't know. That whole Cherokee thing, and even honestly, even the slave owner part, if she's really saying that her ancestors owned slaves, it makes me think of a girl that doesn't have a personality, like BPD type of, or B, no, I said it right the first time, BPD. And but not necessarily a disorder, but just she tries really hard to look special because she's not. She's like bland, and I can speak to this. I've had moments where I'm like, oh, I want to be unique. I want to be different. Kind of was born with a lot of differences. Like, my name is unusual anywhere. I think in Russia or Ukraine, it's more usual, but I think Ukraine, I think I had someone, I don't know actually where she was from, but anyways, it was more common, but it's not common in Romania. It's definitely not common in the US. So I always felt different just from my name. And I had then I came here, there were a lot of things things that set me apart, that made me feel like special. Because my family also treated that as special and not like, oh, you should change your name so you fit in and all that stuff. Yet, I think I also had, if I sit and think, I'm sure I find things where I was like, I want to be cool. So I'm going to like something that I'm not expected. I do have this. I've noticed that I do have this, that I don't like being put in a box. And so the moment that you put me in a box, ooh, mmm, my ex, it makes me think of my ex, and like his mom would, he said, at least that his mom said that I was like, princessy or whatever. And I was like, oh, you did not just say that. Like, well, first of all, because my mom is more like that. And I kind of I grew up with an underlying resentment of princessy vibes, and so I wasn't a tomboy, but I had that kind of like starter towards that. So yeah, like no, I like carrying things and getting my hands dirty and all this stuff. And so that was the identity I created for myself, so I wouldn't become like my mom, or the things that I saw society was not very happy with in my mom, or that I was hurt by in my mom for whatever reason, which I know that sounds, I don't know, it's complex, it's complicated. It might not make sense to anyone right now. Um, and so, yeah, so there are things that I would like or go for that were specific to the identity that I wanted to have, or the identity I didn't want to have to other people. So yeah, so that's what it makes me think of with Blake, where she's like, "Oh, I'm Cherokee too," you know? Like she could be. She was born here by American people, so she could have that in her bloodline, like 23andMe type thing. I mean, and I don't even know, is 23andMe still active? Because I know there's like a lawsuit and stuff around it, but I had like, I was French in my blood, I guess, or something, and Chinese or East Asian or something. So like we all, I think, have, if we want to be technical, pieces like that. So I don't believe her, but I think that either she made it up just to look cool, which is also so Gossip Girl of her, or she didn't make it up, but she mentioned it and she tried really hard to find something that would make her look cool and fit into what was cool, what was likable at that time. And I know you're going to say like slave owners, family ancestors being slave owners never made you cool except for back then. But I think it's like giving her that edge, like making her special still. I don't know if that makes like sense. Like it makes so much sense. I can't think of the best way to like phrase it. Yeah, it makes her, yeah, it gives her an edge. It gives her something more than just a plain girl that's just nice and beautiful. I mean, because, and I think of this also from all these interviews that she's been doing for like a while, of, her fighting for women's rights in Hollywood, that, women are not just pretty things that are made to stand on this like pink X, which also it's never pink. So I think that was also dog whistling or whatever that phrase is. I think it's like in her branding. So she's trying to make herself into that brand, into that identity. So yeah, and again, it's not favorable to have ancestors that are slave owners, but it sure makes it conversational. It sure makes it not bland and you're just pretty and beautiful. And it's like so sad, because like what's wrong with being beautiful? Like own it. Not everyone can be beautiful, Blake. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, but she is beautiful. I know we don't like her right now, and it is hard to see her. Like cannot stand to see her, and I definitely cannot stand to hear her because of what I'm associating her with now. But objectively, she is beautiful. Procedures or whatever aside, like she is beautiful, and it's okay. Like I really want that to be okay for people too. Like, I mean, I'm not, someone who decides that, or I'm not an influencer of any means, but I wish that people that are beautiful can be okay with being beautiful, and they don't have to have an edge. They don't have to be mean, or they don't have to be someone else, because we need beautiful people too. And what goes with beautiful in my mind is also kindness, because beautiful people, not all the time, but in my mind, when I think of a beautiful person, I think also of a kind person and a loving person. Why not work towards that instead of working on being crass? I don't know if crass is the word, but just being edgy and being mean, making really bad humor choices. Yeah, so like instead of working towards that, but like I said, I can relate to like wanting to be far from the identity that you perceive to be weak, or to be, or for people to like just not take you as a full human being, as a result. So Leanne Newton's guest said that about Blake. Back to this Leslie person. Sorry, got really off track. The Seventh day Adventist Church, let's see. Origins. Founded in the mid 1800s. This is not necessarily who she is, but I'm curious now. And this is me. I just get on the tangents myself. Like, I just really like learning, and I'm really curious about this. So, mid 1800s in the US during the Second Great Awakening. Okay, I've not heard of the Second Great Awakening. Okay. Emerged from the Millerite movement, which incorrectly predicted the second coming in 1844. Guess what they called that? The Great Disappointment. I mean, these are like just the perfect innocent names. Like, it's such like they didn't try to make it sound so scholarly or whatever. They just went with the like just the most sincere naming of these things. Eventually recognized into the SDA Church in 1863. Core beliefs: they believe in the authority of scripture, Bible centered, worship on Saturday, the seventh day, not Sunday, hence the name, Seventh day Advent or whatever. Imminent second coming, strong focus on the literal return of Jesus. Adventist awaiting for Advent coming. Oh, okay, because I was like, what is Advent? I just think of Advent calendar. So I think of like chocolate behind cardboard cutouts. That's what I learned Advent to be. They promote vegetarianism, abstinence from alcohol and tobacco. Many Adventists live in blue zones like Loma Linda, known for exceptional longevity. Oh my gosh, I know the word. Soul sleep. They reject the idea of an eternal soul going to heaven, hell at death. Instead, the soul sleeps until resurrection. And then what? I remember doing this walk, like a charity walk. This one girl came up to me and started talking to me, and was just like nice at first, and then started basically trying to convince me. I don't know what church she was with or whatever, but something like that, where like she wanted to convert me basically, or like, let me tell you more about this. Let me convince you to come to our side. And I don't remember what question I asked her, but she stopped talking to me pretty, not instantly, like she didn't make it obvious, but it was like, because I basically asked her like something along the lines of, how does she know something? And she's like, oh, because of this. And I'm like, okay, so how do you know that? Who knows that? Like maybe she said something like, well, it was written in the Bible. And I'm like, okay, and how do you know? I don't remember. I don't know. It was something about like the starting of time, or I don't remember what it was. Anyways, it makes me think of this. Like, so the soul sleeps until resurrection. Where does it sleep? And where does it go when resurrected? And where does it go after? Isn't that the same thing as heaven and hell and stuff? Or like afterlife, not heaven and hell, but afterlife or reincarnate? I don't understand this. But again, this is just like a quick overview. Ellen G. White is the founding prophet figure. Her writings are respected but not considered scripture. Cool. So that's that. I don't have high impressions of this. I don't feel like it's a religion at this point, but I mean, technically, I don't know, whatever. Moving on. Because again, nothing in this, I have yet to get to it, but nothing in this is really about this besides right now at the beginning saying that she was technically raised an atheist and blah blah blah. So she is now listed in the as a member of the American Psychology Association (APA). But it is among her credentials. I don't know if that means that she was and not anymore, or there is a way to pay and be a member but not be publicly listed. Like if you're a student or a professor or something that's not technically a psychologist, then you're not publicly available in the list if you're paying the fee. So she claims APA membership, but she's not found in the searchable psychologist database. So she's not, but that's also like if she's seeing patients, and I guess she's not. Although I think her, I don't know, her website would say something else. I don't know. On the second coming being being the great disappointment. Isn't that like something that sounds like from a movie, from like a satire movie or something? The great disappointment. Like what's that guy, Mel something? That like whole parody or satire on like a religious movie or something in the 70s or something. I don't even know when he did it. 60s, 80s. Mel Brooks, I think. I don't know. I've not seen that, but it makes me think of that. Yeah, I'm curious about this, but not really. I don't know. Maybe I'll be curious more about it, but let's go back to just her cuz yeah, so this was her education. And before I read that part that she's not technically listed, I looked up on how you can issue a complaint about a member that is not ethical so they can do an investigation into it. So that is possible. I will leave that in the description below once I stop this. I need to be better at like doing that because I will do that in case you ever run into needing to know that. And if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I have a therapist or I know someone or whatever that is part of the APA. Because the first way is for her specifically was filing a complaint with California Psychology Board or Board of Psychology of California or whatever it is. And I'll put that in the chat too. That doesn't apply to every therapist and stuff that you might come across that you might need this. So, yeah. And again, it seems like she wouldn't be affected one way or another by this because she's not part of it. But I mean, the only reason I even like say this is because again, it's not okay. It's one thing to have opinions and to be strong opinions, but have opinions about people, about things, about situations, etc. But it's another thing when you're actually doing unethical commentary about your profession, I think. According to the APA, which also the reason that I know this, Lauren also speaks to this, but the reason that I know this is because I went back for a little stint at marriage and family therapy, and we learned about how like you need to respect the ethics code of conduct. So the APA has an official ethics code that members are expected to follow, although they don't monitor their members like every move. So unless you complain about them, they might not get found out or not right away. This includes standards around honesty and integrity, avoiding public harm or misrepresentation, professional conduct, especially in public commentary, which is why you'll have a hard time finding psychologists to speak very freely online about opinions. Or, like, maybe not about opinions, but definitely not stating them as facts. It depends. So yeah, so someone who's in potential violation are going to be investigated, typically after a formal complaint by the ethics committee, APA ethics committee, and then sanctioned, suspended, or even expelled from membership, which I believe is what happened to Jordan Peterson. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh yeah. So on Lauren's thing with Kirsty, she was saying that, well, on her ex account, technically Lauren, again, you probably saw this. She highlighted this screenshot. I don't know if she took it. It probably was sent to her this way, but too many people know the truth. Dr. Leslie said, do you know them? Because I have people reaching out since Justin essayed them in college. And at first, when I heard, before I saw the screenshot, when I just heard Lauren mention this, I was like, does she mean the other way around? Because it was the other way around, but okay. This person said, wait, what? This is the first I'm hearing of Justin essaying someone. I teach women self defense and have something, whatever. I want to. One, I have people reaching out. Are you like validating these people's stories, or because anyone can say anything? And two, why is the media that is not for Justin not picking that up? And then this was the other one. This is the screenshot from Lauren's live, and I'll include her live, or yeah, her video, not live, but I'll include it with Juristy. The whole video, dash cam video or whatever, of him admitting he's a graper. And Dr. Leslie, who, by the way, that picture is her having like I think it's the LA County, like not inmate but something. Anyways, and she says yes, there is video, and many people on set have seen it. She talks like Trump, or she writes like Trump. Um, I also don't really read that many people's stuff. But yeah. But right? Doesn't it sound like him? Yes, there is video. And many people on set have seen it. So why do people on set, how does that even make sense? But how do people on set, sorry, oh, I woke up my dog. How do people on set support him if they've seen this alleged video? All right. Anyways, maybe it was other people, right? It was other people that saw it. Other people on set. Oh, boy. Okay. So let's get to her. This is the first part. Sorry, let me get on track with my notes. Um, so she said that she went to this school because I think because it was close to LA County Jail. Anyways, I'll let her talk.
I wanted to have the first clinical expertise experience in the most challenging place I could think of, and the closest place was the LA County Jail. And they did not allow practicum students, unlicensed students, to come in because it was just too liable, too dangerous. And so I found a psychologist there who was relatively new and gullible, and I said, we're going to start a training program.
So she said, this is like the first one. The first little, I don't know if red flag, but like strong orange flag that I feel like shows her character, her willing. So there is a personality disorder situation where people are okay with bending the rules. It's not only people with a certain disorder, but they're okay with using other people and their weaknesses or whatever, just using people, using things, using situations, and they don't feel any remorse, any responsibility for it. And they're okay with it. They sleep at night just fine. It's not only those people. She was also young, so you can also credit it to that. But still, to say that, she really wanted to gain expertise or experience in the most challenging place she could think of, which is LA County Jail, which she says that it doesn't compare even to Ireland Jail, which I don't know why she mentioned Ireland, because the speaker Kelsey Sharan or whatever, I think is from Canada or something. So like I don't know where Ireland came from. I don't think Ireland is like the worst jail experience that I can think of off the top of my head in the world. I would think they're worse in like South America, I've heard, Middle East, Russia. Like I don't think that like Ireland pops into my top 10 of like hard jail time. But anyways, so she said LA County Jail, and she found a psychologist who was relatively new and gullible to start a training program. She used the word gullible, and to me, that specific word is very highly, strongly important in what makes this a highly orange, strongly orange flag. Moving on.
And he was like, oh, this will make me look really good to the higher ups I'm in.
So
And so
you,
I was the first trainee at what they call the monkey pen. Like, it is the
oh,
worst, most dangerous jail in the world, I would say. Like, I don't know, I've never been in a jail in like Ireland, but bad.
What about Guatemala? I feel like it's got a vibe.
I don't know. I don't know.
She doesn't know. She would have more opinion. There's worse jails. She talks about corruption and drugs and this and that and blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't know. Something in me says that is not the only bad jail in this world. Moving on, and especially when you talk about corruption, like really, okay. She has an interesting. There's another thing that's going to be interesting that kind of speaks to her privilege. So yeah, so the word gullible, all right. And that this psychologist said that he wants to do this because it'll make him look good for the higher up. So again, it sounds like she saw like something to not manipulate. I mean technically yes, manipulate, but to take advantage of, to like dial in on a weakness in him, like oh, he really wants to he's gullible, he's new, so he doesn't, even when you're not gullible, when you're new, you're pretty like, I don't know exactly, I'm not seasoned. And then um probably saw that he really wanted to look good to the higher ups, and she's like, yes, this is my entry to what I want to do. I mean, literally, she used this person to do what she wanted to do in the first place. That the LA County Jail did not allow anyone to do, not allow anyone that's not licensed to do, for a good reason, because it's not safe. And not only because it's not safe for her, but it's also not safe for the inmates. I'm sorry, but like, you're not really established to provide anything, and you can screw people up. And I don't know that she got that message even now, that you can screw people up if you're not well in your profession, that you're not like, you've not studied well, and you're not experience, not just experience, but you don't understand, and you don't have the weight of what you're doing when it comes to things like psychology. Anyways, moving on. I don't know. Oh, if it's this part, it might be this part. Let's see what this one is. Wait. No, it's not this part. I think it's like after that.
Super white. Although we did do our certification in I mean, there were riots when I was there. You just don't hear about it.
No. Why would you hear about the truth?
Yeah.
Which that comment, why would you hear about the truth? I'm like, I had to like chat GPT. Like, is this person a conspiracy theorist? Come on. It's a jail.
That's cute. So let me guess, you two are the white couple, both doctors. You're both husband and wife doctors. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. That tracks for me.
Super white. Although we did do our spit DNA, and I'm 25% Jewish, which I didn't know. And
oh wow.
Hashtag Cherokee.
He is like partly Polynesian Lithuanian. So then we felt like we had a higher reach.
So the diversity hire worked out for you well then, yeah?
Yeah. So now we don't just lean on our white privilege.
Like, she just said that. I was that satire? That wasn't how she didn't say it sarcastically. I'm so speechless, her saying the words that came out of her mouth right now, or at that point. I also don't understand. I didn't actually watch every second of this video, so I don't know if I missed something, but I don't understand any of this. Like, why randomly we're talking about their whiteness, but also Jewish people are white, right? Again, I don't really understand the whole race thing exactly, but they're pretty white. they're pretty white. Like, technically, and also, I guess they like discrimination wise, they have been discriminated in the past. But I also know that, at least what I know from American history, like Hollywood and whatever, like they did pretty well. So like when I think of like discriminated group and a non-white for yeah, when I think of a non-white person group is like you're not white skinned. Um so that's like one thing, because that's why you have like passing white and all that stuff. But again, I'm new, I'm learning, so let me know. Let me know in the comments, let me know wherever, um, if I'm missing something, because that's my understanding. Like, first of all, it's like the skin color and features, certain features, like European features. And Jewish people, I mean, I can't really tell Jewish people apart, but from like white people, but like I guess sometimes. But the only thing is like very like just features, just sometimes. And if they're practicing and they have the little thing on their heads, um, so yeah. So saying that you're 25% Jewish, A, even if it is in the US considered as a non-white race or whatever, because it's not an ethnicity. I mean, Jewish is an ethnicity, but like white is not an ethnicity. It's a race. But I will always go into that. Like that bothers me so much. Like it is not ethnicity. It it's like saying your gender versus your like sex. It's like your physicalness and your like what you feel like you are, kind of thing, you know. And I don't know, well, actually it's not even how you feel like you are, but like it's more not technical. Anyways, but even if that's the case, even if in America Jewish is you know, a diversity group, a non-white group. Because also that's the other thing. Like I don't remember Jewish being on that like little button thing that I would always put other. Anyways, but even if that's true, um, what is this whole thing? A, as I said, hashtag Cherokee. Like, why are you bringing this up? And you're trying to like again make yourself relatable to like people that are not white. And then B, and also only by like spit DNA tests, as she called it, not because of her experiences, not because she was persecuted or felt any of the disadvantage. Makes me, I guess, also think of that cultural appropriation stuff. This is kind of what it feels like with the Cherokee and now this Jewish and all the also Polynesian. Did she say Polynesian or something? And Lithuanian. Lithuanian is white, literally. But anyways, um, just like I'm technically white too, Romanian, like Eastern European. Um, and yeah, anyways. So, but what is this whole thing about like, so the diversity hire worked out for you? What? Like, did they just say that? What the heck? And wait, did she say something like relatability
Yeah.
or
So
whatever?
then we felt like we had a higher reach.
So we felt because our DNA said that, you know, I'm 25% Jewish and he's, you know, 5% or whatever Lithuanian and Polynesian or whatever. We had a bigger reach or higher reach or whatever. What the just because your DNA says something? The only reason that I talk about my Romanian and inside joke is that I'm not white because I'm Romanian. I'm like white adjacent or colored people adjacent or whatever. I forget how this one lady called me, that she had this like center for capoeira or something for only like BIPOC. And she's like, you're honorary something, because I'm not American, I'm not born here, and I'm not also Western European and stuff. Anyways, So I was like, yeah, I'll take that win. But the only reason I mention that is because I was born there. I was part of that culture. I grew up with that culture. I wasn't born here. When if I would just be a DNA, I wouldn't, and that I didn't even know about until I did a random test, I would for sure not think that, oh, now people can relate to me better or I can relate to them better. That's not a thing. Your DNA does not dictate that. Your culture dictates that. That's why like it bothers me with like skin color and race, because to a certain degree, like if it's noticeable and you are treated different, but that again, you're treated differently, you feel the effect of being different, of not being of the privileged majority, minority, whatever, the privileged. So if your experience doesn't match your DNA, it doesn't really matter that much as far as like what she's saying. It matters like culturally for you and learning your culture, yes, and other things, but it doesn't matter to like, oh, now people can relate to me more, I can relate to them more, because you haven't suffered the way that they did or like experienced the things that they experienced. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, because I'm speaking partially, knowing all of this. I more than partially, like more than 50% understanding this stuff, having lived in the US, but not 100%. So that bothered me a lot though. Like, and also, what in the world did that have to do with anything? I don't think she said it sarcastic, Arnaldo. This lady, I think maybe saying that so the diversity hire worked out for you. It might have been sarcastic. I think it was sarcasm still in the same way that she said about did she say some? She said something else like that was like snarky rather than sarcastic. Oh yeah, no, she hasn't said it. I'll get back to that. But yeah. All right, moving on. Keep going. Um just a little bit further over here.
What point did you decide, though, when you were in university that you wanted to be, how do I say this? Well, you're not the same as my psychiatrist. Let's go with that. So, when did you decide that you wanted to be you, fully you, and you were going to lean into that side of yourself and not just put yourself in extremely uncomfortable positions in prison systems as the tiny white female?
It was right away. I realized right away that I could make change in systems that had so much corruption, and that it was quite simple to do,
Okay.
to implement. You just had to talk to the right people and never shut up and, be the squeaky wheel.
First of all, never shut up. Who does that remind you of? Never take no for an answer. Blake Lively.
And there were a few people I probably helped, like, clients, inmates, but for the most part, people were not getting better. They were getting discharged or mistakenly discharged and then being picked back up. And, it was just this warehouse hamster wheel. And
Which sadly is what this whole jailing system is criticized for, especially when it comes to drug issues, that people are not actually given help. And I think in some jails, in some places, they do get help. Like watching Sing Sing, it wasn't exactly that, but it was something similar that helped people choose different things and work on themselves in a way that helped them. But yeah, I think that I think it was in Portugal that they tried to do this study or this thing, this social experiment or whatever. I remember Russell Brand again. What's up with him? No one has talked about him. But I remember with Russell Brand, he was like talking about this in front of the judge or whatever, that people with these issues, they should be given therapy, they should be given AA, they should be given all this stuff instead of just being jailed and then sent back out when they're clean or whatever. But the problem wasn't fixed, the root wasn't fixed. So yeah, that's something. So that's what she's talking about. And yeah,
so I started to really get to know a lot of these people on the inside really, really well because they were there for so long. So the psychopaths, the sex offenders, um,
You know, run of the mill people. I like how she just like casually mentioned those like big words.
and I would either kind of, leverage my relationships with them so that they didn't kill me. I did a lot of research, but what I did do is I testified and shared with the jury and the world that this guy is too dangerous to get out. Would you want him as your neighbor? No, you would not. And this is why. And let me tell you objectively, scientifically, credibly, why he is so dangerous.
This coming from a psychologist that wanted to work in the LA County Jail with the worst of the worst, as she calls it, or calls them. And instead of helping people, she's going there to, oh, yeah, here we go again, manipulate more people. I like how she's trying to say that she's manipulating psychopaths, which, okay. And then, I mean, that's the irony there is just like crazy. And then she's manipulating them to not hurt her, but then I'm not saying she didn't do this, but like I'm just again speaking to like her character for whatever good or bad that does. But because it makes me think of that No Man of God movie with Elijah Wood's character going into forget his name, but he played Ted Bundy. Sorry, I forgot his name. Oh my gosh. I've watched it 12 for so many times. But and how like he did that, but he didn't do that exactly. Like um he was genuinely caring to understand. That's not what she sounds like. And so but his colleagues were maybe not like that. Maybe they were more like her. So I'm not saying that she didn't do this and this isn't normal, but I'm just saying like how does that match with her saying that she really wanted to gain experience into this most challenging place and that these people weren't helped. They're just being released and taken back in. And then she talks about how she would again manipulate them into her safety, and then testify against them and just bury them instead of helping them. And I'm not saying that everyone is helpable. you know yes, technically the very small percentage of society that we call psychopaths or have psychopathy, at this moment, it is highly unlikely that you are able to help that person to not harm if they are the type of person that harms, because not all psychopaths harm. I mean, yes, technically, long story. Um, so, but yeah, so I'm just like having a hard time matching her words. She's saying different things. She's contradicting herself. Like, how are you helping the problem? You're just there trying to put people in jail. You're just there trying to make sure that people don't leave the jail. You're not there to actually, what you said at the beginning, help people not be there or like heal them while they are there, whether for life or temporarily. Does that make sense?
And I got really into that. But now I take that to civil litigation because they wanted to kill me and my baby when I was pregnant in the prison. And so I was like, I'm just going to work on the outside and have these like lame Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuits because they pay well and I can still do all the same shit.
Is it true?
No, it's not true. Shut up. Sorry. I'm very like over ads. I get very nasty when it comes to ads. I'm also getting like I think high blood pressure over here. But anyways, not from this, but from the, sinuses and stuff. And lack of sleep. But yeah, so she was just saying how she manipulates these people, leveraging whatever to not harm her. And suddenly she got threats, or whatever to be harmed and have her child or baby or whatever be harmed. And so she's like, oh, no, not again. Fine, that's fair. It's just like it's one of those things like with Blake Lively. It's like when your credibility is going down the drain, it's really hard to make it spin back up. You know? Like, it's really hard to give you the benefit of the doubt or to hear things in the same way when already you're like circling down the drain. I don't know. Um, but the way that she said the ending part bothered me too. That now I do these lame cases because they pay me and it's good enough. What did she say? Hold on, I forget what she said already.
These like lame Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuits because they pay well and I can still do all the same shit.
Yeah, same, not stuff, but the S word, which um has a different connotation when you say it like that. And I'm not saying, oh, be professional, be ladylike. I'm not talking about that. Although, you know, professional would be nice, but we can't ask that of her. We can't expect that of her at this point. Um, but it just sounds like she doesn't care about people, doesn't it? When you're saying that, oh, I can still put people away or discredit people, and I get paid a lot of money for it, and I don't have to have my life threatened, which I don't know, she might have different stories after this case because there's some crazy people out there for any side, you know, that will threat not just this case honestly, but just in general. Like, don't mess with celebrities and their part, like their people's parasocial relationships with them, right? Um but it's, it just sounds cold, which all of her really sounds cold. There are moments when I'm like, oh, okay, she might be a decent human being, but it's just when she's saying nothing that's like really meaningful. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I. Uh, oh yeah, sorry. I just stopped it right short of what I wanted to. Anyways. How is SH allegations lame? That's, yeah. She has no empathy. She does, yeah, she doesn't seem like it, which it's ironic, don't you think? That she's talking about the, 2% of the population, but she's coming across quite like those tick box. Anyways. Um
Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuits because they pay well and I can still do all the same shit.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Love that you led right into that.
Right.
It's almost like you know what you're doing or something. So
That's what I meant by this person is snarky. It can come across as sarcastic, but she means what she's saying. But it's that tone that's like really like not condescending to her, but like condescending to the audience that disagrees potentially with Leslie. Because she says, oh, it sounds, or it's almost like you know what you're doing or something. Thanks for elaborating, because that made it sound like that. And I'm like, no, she doesn't. And based on that, what did you show? Like you said, lack of empathy, lack of actually knowing what she's doing, besides putting people away and taking money for it. And what she had said earlier, that she presents things as factual, as objective truth, as et cetera, et cetera. I forget what she said. I'm not going back because I don't remember exactly where I was. But yeah, um, that doesn't sound like she knows what she's doing as far as like a psychologist or even a forensic psychologist, honestly. I'm going to try and bring up Dr. Kirk Honda's talk on forensic psychology. He did some of this. He didn't really like it. He felt it was too much or whatever. I don't remember exactly. But when he was talking or covering the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, they had a psychologist, and he kind of talked about the psychologist that they had or whatever it was. And so he reflected on being a forensic psychologist and stuff. Did I say forensic? Forensic. Anyways. So yeah. Also, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to the next point, but somewhere in between that and this point, they bring up Nexium cult. There's a Nexium cult. I really feel like this is a conspiracy channel, but that's just me. Um, Also, I just noticed playing for you guys how much pink everything is, like pink fridge, pink, and like the 60s type of stuff, you know? There's a lot of pink. I mean, no hate on pink, but the 60, I don't know, it's, yeah. But yeah, Nexium called, which I have Nexium over here and helped me. It does help, but yeah, I know it's bad. It has a lot of issues, just like, I don't know, any kind of medicine that is in a lab. Okay, moving on. And not only in the lab, but yeah, moving on. So this one is okay. Yeah, cool.
So it's found.
Nope, I always do that.
So,
Okay.
you know, a narcissistic person is somebody who their personality is structured like an eggshell. And if you crack that eggshell, there's nothing inside, it's empty. And maybe at the bottom, it's just all hot lava. So they're going to try their darndest to be on the top of the shell and be untouchable and perfect. And then when they fall, it becomes very, very dangerous. And they are brutal to themselves. They can't tolerate the negative emotions. That's when they lash out against other people. And that's often when they start using substances.
I'm gonna stop because I should remember to stop faster for commentary, whatever. Although I have plenty of commentary, but I sometimes the clips are longer. Wow, I'm like getting really whooshy. I haven't gotten like this since like the early days of starting to stream. Um, so I do like that analogy of the egg. I think she does say it pretty well. I've spoken about, narcissistic personality disorder as a very rough summary of what it is based on what I've learned it to be in psychology, and also that one doctor that is online that's like the narcissistic doctor. She always, that's like her main channel, like that's her channel, her main topic on the channel. um so yeah, and it's in line, not I'm not saying, oh, it's a good analogy because it's in line with what I'm saying because I know that's what people say. That's like medically, psychologically or whatever, what people are saying. And it's a good metaphor with the eggshell. Yeah, eggshell, because yeah, eggshells are fragile. Well, depends on what kind of egg you get. If you get the cheap eggs, those eggshells are, they're like this, paper thin, break in a second. If you get like a strong organic pasture raised, you know, good egg, then those eggshells are tough and they're sometimes really hard to break. Um, but yeah, like I like that. What she's getting into now is, it's not that it's not necessarily true. It's just the specifics and the narrow focus of it and the way that she presents it that bothers me.
So, big substance use in Hollywood, I might add. Now, if you compare that to a normal person, or not normal, maybe just a non narcissistic person, because I don't think anyone's normal.
No,
I mean, that's true.
definitely
But
not.
a non narcissistic person might have their emotions fill that eggshell. So if you were to crack at their ego, then they're going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be a fluid movement to a variety of emotions rather than just dropping into the hell, I have to kill everyone or kill myself.
That's what I disagree with. That's a bold statement. It's an ugly statement, not just because it's literally ugly, but it's an ugly statement because, again, I feel like it's borderline unethical. Because you're insinuating that people with narcissistic personality disorder, if their flaws are exposed, because that's what I have said, like basically they need to feel they're perfect because otherwise they feel unsafe. They feel like they are abandoned, unloved, and if they're any way flawed. And to say that they will then take very violent and finite action. Every single narcissistic person, like with personality disorder, to say that every single one of them, if their shell is cracked, they're like that ego that keeps them together or whatever is cracked, they will either take that strong, violent, finite action towards you or themselves. That's a stretch. And I don't like that she implies that. One, because I think, for one thing, from what I see in this interview, for one, she doesn't go into differentiating what people call narcissists and what narcissistic personality disorder is, which is not the same. And the one doctor, sorry I forget her name, but she specifically talks a lot about the difference between NPD and just calling someone narcissistic or toxic. She also talks about toxic, where like a toxic person is a toxic person to one person but not to another, because it's depending on, your particular wounds or whatever around things, or boundaries or whatever it is, or whatever. And how you communicate, how you're able to, like, go through stuff. So toxic person is not narcissistic, and it's not necessarily a narcissistic person can be, or is toxic, but it's not mutually exclusive. And then also, it's not necessarily a toxic person is not, that's even a narcissist, is not a narcissistic personality disorder narcissist, because the media, TikTok, etc., talks a lot about narcissists, this and that and whatever. I feel like that is such a strong distinction that has to be made clear, and she doesn't do that. She talks about narcissists just as a general rule, and so the danger of people, of her saying that, in my opinion, the danger of her saying this strong statement can harm people, like, for real. Because if you're dating someone, because this is the big context that is happening. If you're dating someone and you think they're narcissistic and they have NPD particularly, because they're like highly ambitious, or they don't seem to have empathy towards you. They don't seem to have feelings. They don't seem to care about, hurting you or whatever, which in extreme cases, yes, that's wrong. And there's, like, plenty of disorders to that. But there's also, like, people who just are in their own world because they're hurting. They're just, like, stressed out about their day, and they just, like, don't think about it, not maliciously, and not because they have a fragile sense of ego or self or whatever you want to call it. And so, like, it can have, like, strong circumstances, consequences, if some, like, I don't, because whoever on the other side can react in so many different ways too, and to, like, insinuate that they will, like, harm you or themselves. Again, like, yes, that does exist, but again, I just don't feel like she has that, like, differentiation clear. And I just, my understanding and my personal knowledge in this, I'm curious, like, I don't know if Lauren, if I can get, because Lauren's been having a hard time, so I don't know if I can get, like, a message to her. But I'm curious, like, from what she knows, and I'm not saying she knows everything, but she has more experience, day to day around this topic, or psychology in general. I'm just, over here, loving it and studying it just for my fun. But based on what I know, like, I just have a hard time uh feeling like that's a factual statement, that this is what happens at the end of the day. There's the guy on 90 Day Fiance that very likely has that NPD, a narcissistic personality disorder. And as far as I've seen, like, he would not hurt someone or himself. Um, I think because sometimes there are like multiple situations. Like I remember Thais Gibson, she's the one that has personal development school. She's the one that, I mean, literally, like, it taught me the coaching thing, but not just me. It was a whole class. I don't know why I need to always like specify the specifics. Um, but she had mentioned in one of her videos, like more recent in the last couple of years or so, that, like dismissive avoidants are often labeled as narcissists because they are so protective and so cold. They come across so cold, and people can mistake that for lacking of empathy. And there is kind of a lack of empathy, but not from like a biological sense that psychopaths have like a biological reason for lacking empathy, and narcissistic personality disorder is more like created, like nurture, not nature, lack of empathy. So it's not from like a that, but it's also like it kind of exists. But they will definitely not harm or intentionally and all that stuff. But yeah, and but she was saying how like you could have combinations. You could have like someone with like sadistic tendencies, like I forget what that is called. Maybe it's just that. Or NPD or whatever, or like maybe it's like different facets of NPD. And so like those things, yes, but it's not because of the attachment style. Just like someone can have these two choices, but it's not necessarily, in my limited understanding and knowledge of NPD, because of it, if that makes sense. I don't know. It just, you just have to be so careful when, especially not just with psychology, but when you're saying statements like that. When also that in this world right now in 2020s, people use the word narcissist so much and unfairly and like not really well. You have to be careful with statements like this. I don't know what else she says. If it's like,
Oh,
she says ads, that's what she says. All right. Oh my gosh. Gosh, this like pressure. Oh my goodness, this is crazy.
so fun. This is exactly what I knew it would be, and I'm so excited about it. You're fulfilling all of my happiness right now. Okay, perfect. So, how does somebody raise a human to not develop these
Yeah.
tendencies, especially in a world where social media is the thing, where being on the cover of everything is the most important, and we only really care if you're on TikTok?
Which is also one of the misunderstandings about narcissistic personality disorder, why people confuse narcissism with narcissistic personality disorder. Because it's not like, oh, you have to think about how you look and your looks and your vanity and whatever. But yeah.
And brought to you by Ketone.
Oh, this is the fun part where in the other one, when I first watched this, like she got into that right when another ad popped. So I'm like, oh, so I'm missing your sponsorship. Cool.
Oh my God, you kill me.
Ah,
Wow. Brand. I believe in the mission. I believe in what they do. So go grab some now.
yeah, hopefully.
Fuck.
Oh, hopefully. Okay, yeah. She was like, yeah, all right. Hopefully people raise people that don't have that. Okay.
Oh my God, you kill me.
Ah, I think modeling for our children that we are transparent and authentic and grounded. I mean, those are some big words, that we are genuine in our relationships, that we have healthy boundaries with fucked up people.
Again, doesn't sound like someone who actually gets what psychology is when she's using phrases like having boundaries with effed up people. That is not a psychologist. It takes me back to what that person said on one of the chats. Like, what course do lawyers get in objectivity, basically, not having their emotions, take over or whatever, and being more objective and putting emotions to the side or whatever. And that's something that psychologists should do. Not everyone does, indeed. Um, and she doesn't claim, like, early, the whole point of her is that she doesn't care and she is her full self, meaning she judges people. I mean, there's so many things right now that all of it is just not proving her to be a good person, um or a good psychologist, or a good someone who has studied psychology for a lot. Like, all of her schooling is pretty much in psychology, so it's a lot of years of psychology to not have empathy and understand, and also understand the nuances and understand how things, anyways. um so, I mean, I don't feel like she's wrong. Again, I'm not a psychologist either. These are my opinions on, I my passion is psychology, but I'm not here studying, every single psychology book and research paper and all that stuff. So I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a student of psychology. I'm well, yeah, like, I've not graduated. I'm not in a PhD program. So these are my personal opinions. That I feel strongly about. um, I just feel like, again, the responsibility that she has is not matching her words. And just like social responsibility as a whole, I feel is suffering in the world right now and in the US. Um, she does have a good point afterwards, so I'll just let her talk. But whatever. This is just a weird answer to this. For I don't know.
You know, all of these things that make people understand life in a fluid manner. And we definitely can't show our children that jumping from strong emotion to strong emotion is okay.
That's not NPD. That's not narcissistic. That's not narcissistic personality disorder. Just jumping from strong emotion to strong emotion. Fearful avoidance, jump from strong emotion to strong emotion. It has nothing to do with narcissism. Um, I mean, it's true. That's true. And I have an issue around this for sure. Um, it's for me, it's not so much a fragile ego as she called it at the beginning. For me, it's like a fragile, it's like when you're just like beaten down and down and down and down, and then you're like putting boundaries in maybe not the healthiest way, because you're like, just stop, whatever. That's like the analogy of it. And it's different than having a convoluted sense of self-worth. um Having strong emotions, it's also like the emotional conversation out there. And I really have to like wrap this up probably sooner, because my head is like whooshing so much. um but the conversation around emotions is another tough one that she should have a little bit more responsibility around, in how she presents things, because um what strong emotions are to many people in the US especially is not strong emotion that she's probably referring to, or she should be referring to if she's not. Um and emotions are often labeled as bad. So she needs to like also speak to that and make the difference between strong emotions that are just a fact of life, because that should also be taught that you're allowed to have emotions. And sometimes strong emotions are randable. Is that a word? Like, for example, the protest right now. However, if she means the strong emotions of like what happens with like burning cars when you're, protesting, and like the riot part of the protest, that's maybe what she's talking about, giving her the benefit of the doubt, that she should make a little bit more clear. But you should have strong emotions. You can yell and protest or whatever. You can be angry. You can have like strong emotions can be very helpful and healthy and stuff. Anyways, but and then the swing, again, I said like it's not just this, and I don't know. I feel like I there's so much I want to say, and when I hear it, I say it, and then I stop, and I'm like, what was I going to say? Should have really just like started with this topic, but we had so much fun with other topics too. Um, and yeah. Anyways,
because we need to be able to adjust to the shit life throws at us.
oh, this is what I want to say. This is not just about someone being modeled a certain way of being. Um, and again, she touches a little bit about this of like what kind of like the militant parent is really often what she sees, and I think just research wise is seen as far as people with narcissistic personality disorder, or even narcissism, is people who as children. I mean, I've talked about this as far as like Trump, that in the movie The Apprentice is they kind of show that like his dad kind of um made him feel worthless, and like he could never do enough. And so you start having this, but there's like multiple like things that need to happen, and it doesn't just happen to every single person that gets that way, but like that militant style of like parenting, that like putting people down, the like not showing emotions, being like healthy, all this stuff. Yeah, is like kind of correlated often with narcissistic personality disorder, narcissism. um what was I going to say? What was I going to say? What did she say?
We need to be able to adjust to the shit life throws.
Oh, yeah. It's not just like modeling, and it's not just like being taught, like, oh, you should adjust, you should be flexible with your emotions, you should be flexible with people. Empathy is not being flexible with people and so forth. Not that it seems like she doesn't know what empathy is, but that's just me being snarky and I don't know. And I don't like her manner of speech. Yeah, sinus pressure from being congested. Did you try the steam method to get rid of the phlegm? No, I tried this. Did I try the steam? I don't think so. Oh, hi CJ. Welcome. No. 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 I don't think I could handle that. I'm not um strong emotionally to handle that. And I don't think she would do that. I'm sorry, like I'll have to look at my thumbnail or whatever to see if like I need to rephrase it, if that like made it sound like that. Cuz I'm not here for clickbait, you know. Um but yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, sorry. Um Oh, okay. Yeah. Um, well, welcome. That's so excited. I'm so excited about your channel too. I was on your live a little earlier too. If everyone hasn't checked CJ out, I've mentioned her before. Like she's finally started her YouTube. Check her out. What was I saying? Um, this like whooshing is like definitely like making it harder. I just like kind of think like, oh my gosh, I'm just so worried about my health. Um, which I mean technically could be seen as narcissistic in this moment by TikTok. Um so yeah, so it's not just about modeling and or like what she's talking about as far as modeling. I mean, she's yeah, what she's saying is true as far as like parents should teach and model really good um relationship to boundaries, to emotions, to life not being perfect and not always going the way that you would want it to go, to that padding that we were talking about. Um, that, you know, you should kind of understand that life and people is not perfect, are not perfect, and it'll throw curveballs at you and all the stuff, and to handle them with grace and all that stuff. Great, yes. I, again, in my knowledge, limited knowledge, albeit, of narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder, that does not solve the problem. That does not create what she, the way that she phrases it is not the issue, if that makes sense. Although it can contribute and it for sure can make better human beings. Yeah.
Goes at us in a health.
Okay. Sorry.
We can get over speed bumps. They're not walls. And so I think it's a huge part of modeling to your children.
Sorry, I keep thinking when she starts speaking, like the thoughts come again. Yeah. To her point, I think her next point is much more valid than this one because it's not about modeling, it's about what not to do more. Yeah.
Is that humanity piece and not trying to blind them from it. So many individuals I know who meet criteria for narcissistic disorder were raised by these brutal, militant military men who didn't talk
Interesting.
about their emotions, who beat the shit out of them, who just basically was so cold and directive in their childhood that the kids never knew what to do with their emotions. They just compartmentalized them. And then it grew further into, I have to be perfect. This is my ego. If I can't do this, then I don't know where else to go other than to the dark, dark, darkness.
I feel like she's just confusing psychological terms. That, to me, that sounded like a psychological term stew, or like, as we Romanians would call it, like cabbage. Like you're dressed like a cabbage because you're dressed with like a bunch of different layers. I don't know. But that's what it sounded like to me. Like you're talking about very different things at the same time and you're trying to combine them. It's like, okay. Again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just speaking my opinion and based on my passion for learning psychology. And also, the things that I heard about what she said were, there was attachment theory in there, not narcissistic personality disorder.
The kids never knew what to do with their emotions.
That part.
They just compartmentalized them. And then it grew further into, I have to be perfect. This is my ego.
So, not having emotion or not being allowed to have emotion, which is why I believe, and I still have not researched this, but I believe that probably the higher percentage of dismissive avoidance are male, because in societies that teach male, that socialize males as don't have emotions, don't cry, be tough. Which, I mean, technically, yeah, I guess if you're fighting or whatever, yeah, like being tough is not crying. um, and but that's like more attachment style stuff. It's more, I would say, like soft core psychology, like not something that's really prevalent and kind of stuck to you. um and it's more easable, more easy to change, more easy to work with, even though like attachment style is also kind of hard to see and accept that, hey, this is not my identity, this is just like how I've learned to cope with life. But it's different than like a disorder, which is a lot more pervasive and like more stuck to you. This is my personal analogy. And um it's not so much about emotions though. It is about a fragile sense of ego. It's about being put down and being made to feel so extremely worthless that you are in danger if you are in any way flawed, which is why there is oftentimes people confusing, dismissive avoidant with narcissism, but it's not the same thing. And she's combining those two things. Again, maybe it's just the way that she phrases it, but she does have a freaking responsibility to phrase things better because she went to like so much more school. So much more school. She went through all of the degrees, almost all the degrees that you can get in psychology. She has not gotten a PhD technically. Maybe she should have. Maybe now I understand why maybe you should have more schooling in research rather than just like going straight to the clinical part.
I can't do this, then I don't know where else to go other than to the dark, dark, darkness of how I've always been told emotions are.
Right.
Yeah, so again, that like it's just like rooted in worthlessness. It's just rooted in worthlessness. And we all kind of feel worthless in one way or another, right? Like we all feel not good enough is what I mean. But like it's not about emotions. It's not about like handling emotions. It's about handling flaws. It's about handling that you are not perfect, which is very different than like emotions. Um Sorry, the more I think about it, I'm like, she got it so like twisted. what what the heck? Because like, yeah, seriously. I want someone, a psychologist like I'm gonna maybe reach out to Dr. Amen Kaur or something because she also talks a lot about this. Maybe like she can come on here. Maybe she can be like my first like co whatever. I can't think of the word right now. Co-host or whatever, and talk about this because like there's she could probably can use better words to express what I'm picking up, but I can't really express, um because yeah, it's not the same thing. um s- Someone who is just like not modeled good emotion handling or management can be a number, it can manifest in a number of ways, but like what she said at the beginning, like militant parents, um like a parent that puts the child down, I think is the key. Makes the child feel worthless, like there's nothing that, and if they're worthless, they're in danger. They're in danger of disappointing them, which is like very hard as a child. Um, because like if you are not loved, like they take affection away from you if you disappoint them, if you didn't get good grades, if this or that, that can, and I don't know if it causes, again, everyone kind of reacts differently, but that kind of level of you know um threat, like you have to feel like it's life or death, that if you are flawed, you will die. You will die by abandonment, like to an extreme. That's what narcissistic personality disorder is, that extreme. And it's not that, you harm yourself or you harm others, like she was saying. That is just so like damaging for her to say crap like that. Oh, man.
So, do you think that that's what drives a certain type of person to the military?
Interesting. I mean, a judgmental opinion I have of the military
Mhm.
is that people are quite lost around the age of 18, and it's an easy way to define who you are and to do something really exciting when
I love how she says what she should say pretty much all the time. My judgmental opinion. She doesn't even have to include judgmental. From what I know, is also, I feel, good enough to present things like she was saying earlier. She likes to present things as facts just to get her point across. It makes me think of those women that I talked about that wanted to become lawyers, or like this, the one was a lawyer, the other one was like something in finance, because that way men listen to them and otherwise men will not listen to them. And so they need this upper hand. So much trauma in those women that I was like, just see someone. Like, you don't have to suffer for life, because you're still suffering if you're taking these like bypassing measures. Anyways, sorry. But it reminds me of that. Maybe she's like that because it's like the superiority. Couldn't say that word. Kind of place. Not so much maybe narcissism, but with her. But I mean, she seems like it. I mean, there's a lot of things so far, but not that much. I feel like with Blake, we've seen a lot more like signs for it, but we've also seen more of Blake than of her. And also can't diagnose anyone just from, this. Um, but yeah, it makes me think of that because it's like she can't say that it's just an opinion. She has to be in a place of authority, and what she says has to be communicated from such like stronger than it is, because otherwise she doesn't feel like she'll get listened to, which I can also relate, not in this way, not to this extreme. But yeah, I've been guilty of that too in my own way of um I my reactions tend to be bigger because I already assume that I'm not going to be believed. And she does it in a different way, by like just having the superiority. Gosh, I can't say that word. um that's what I'm saying. Let her talk this way if Blake's team brings her in. Yeah. Well, but people like seem to gravitate towards her and believe her. So, yeah. Oh, and I'm coming really close to that moment. So that orange flag that I said at the beginning, this is like a full-on red flag as far as like if she's going to be testifying at the trial. She out You remember, it's kind of like Blake's what was that interview where she says that she goes in, people expect her to be, you know, the actress they hired, and she goes in and basically hijacks. She doesn't say exactly that, but back to that. What publication was that? I don't know why Inquirer comes to mind, or Fathom. I think I was like watching too many. I was on Fandango too much. But yeah. Um and then she says in videos a lot of times it's facts, but then when it was legal paperwork, she like, this isn't facts. It's such a mind bust. Really? I I just was saying at the beginning, CJ, like I just started down this rabbit hole because I forgot about her, not kind of forgot about her. And I just thought she kind of went away, and it was also triggering watching her stuff. So I just began down this rabbit hole. I'm curious what her end goal is. What does she want? Like, what's her point? What's the point of the way that she handles these things? That she says, yes, this there is absolute video, dash cam video of Justin saying that he is a graper. We need a better word because with my accent, it sounds kind of the same thing. Um, and then if you're, by what you're saying, that like legal paperwork is like, oh, maybe it's not that factual. Like, I mean, which is not completely wrong as far as what the lawyers say, that, you know, complaints, anyone can say anything, alleging everything. Yeah, they can allege anything, um, if worded a certain way, technically. So I don't know if she means that. She talks a little bit about something like that in here too. But probably that's not what you're talking about that she's saying, or she's not talking about that part of it. These kinds of parents are why young kids feel like they're broken and don't understand how and why. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sad. That's why like I personally have a lot of empathy for all sorts of different adults and kids and any age that is clearly coming from a place that was not safe, and they develop coping mechanisms, whether it's as extreme as, you know, a personality disorder, because that's what it is. It's coping mechanisms to survive, or um you know, an attachment style or something that's like lighter, so to speak, even though it's not necessarily lighter, but um and yeah, yeah, uh, it's so hard. It and Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It sucks. It sucks. There's so, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, she does contradict herself. And yeah, I don't know what you said red flag for, but like what's coming up is definitely a red flag. So yeah, so I'm like, my judgmental opinion is what she said. I'm like, why can't you say that when you give your opinion and not, facts? Um, all right. So the next one, we already went through that. There's one around that one. Hold on. Think around here somewhere. Um, no, I'm really sure that YouTube has become worse in the past 2 months with ads. I'm really sure there have never been these many ads. And when you were like loading things or whatever, like they wouldn't. It's coming back. They wouldn't put an ad to it if you preloaded. And now it's like, no, we're going to get you. Remember, I don't know if anyone remembers when ads started on YouTube or like, whatever. And they would, if you would like switch browsers or tabs or something, they would stop the ad and not let you, skip it by watching something else. And now they quickly got the message that wasn't okay, and people, they probably lost a lot of viewers that way. They felt it somehow because they quickly turned around from that. Anyways, she also mentions that she has an iHeartRadio podcast available now. It's called, I forget what it's called. And then she has HBO and Peacock and Oxygen shows or specials or something coming up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh boy. I mean, it's not anything new. A lot of people talk about Dr. Phil that way and Dr. Oz. I think Dr. Oz had generally some okay things to say. Dr. Phil, I never agreed with Dr. Phil that I don't know, something about him was like, that was my impression of Dr. Phil's stuff. But I didn't watch it that much. Anyways, so this, I don't remember. I have like such a short note on this one. So let's see what this is about.
In a jury pool or just watch you from the bench or anywhere. But if you ever need someone as a cheerleader to just watch you from afar, to just be like, doing great, please let me know, because I would fucking kill to witness that in real time. That shit is hilarious.
The problem is that, okay, one, the federal cases...
I forgot about that. Hold on.
Shocked. If you felt emotions, that's how the person's family member felt all the time. The anticipation. And just be really quiet again. That might...
Sorry.
Yes. So, juries are real people.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm describing schizophrenia and I can act it out,
oh no. Something like that. All right, cool.
Or
Take 2.
be a little better.
Right.
So, like, let's say I had a client who would be very quiet, but then just scream, like, what the fuck? And then just be really quiet again. I might do that on the stand.
I actually didn't see that part. So I was looking at the camera. So she's also, this is also Tourette's, but okay. She needs to go away somehow. She needs to not be on a platform.
Do they know you're doing that, or do they think that's just your demeanor?
I might do it and then say after. Say after, like, if you felt shocked, if you felt emotions, that's how the person's family member felt all the time. The anticipation, the never knowing when they were going to scream, not knowing who they were seeing, but they were seeing someone all the time. So if I could find a way to tell the story in a way that, a jury who's getting 12 cents an hour and does not want to be there will listen. Yeah, I'll bring in like jokes, darkness, humor. So I'll stare straight at all of them.
And that's where yeah. That's where this
I
lady
can
was
see that.
saying
So I'm not saying
that she will be
I'm
her
not saying that I would
cheerleader or
love
something.
to ever be in a jury pool or just watch you from the bench or anywhere. But if you ever need someone as a cheerleader to just watch you from afar, to just be like, doing great, please.
I mean, they're laughing and they're making jokes. Oh, I looked at the camera again. They're making jokes and they're laughing at some serious stuff. And people both on both sides that, I mean, if you're talking about schizophrenia, like people are suffering on both sides, like strongly. Um, it also makes me think of Beautiful Mind. Again, like just mentioning these like words as if like just all people are just, you know, whatever she's insinuating, harming people. Um, but like, are you kidding? Like,
Please let me know, because I would fucking kill to witness that in real time. That shit is hilarious.
The problem is,
all right, I think like I don't know, something's smelling like burning. Um, nothing's like hot. That is so weird. I don't know. I'll let you know if there's any issues. Because I've been on for longer than this, I think. But yeah, so um what was I saying? Oh yeah, like you're joking about this like so casually, and these people are hurting, and you're saying that that stuff is hilarious, that you're not mocking, like she's trying to prove a point, she's trying to not create empathy per se, but like trying to like what the trying to um yeah, I guess like just make people understand if they don't understand, but like it just doesn't seem professional in any kind of way. Like I've lost my words. I don't even know how to explain my
is
thoughts.
that okay? One, the federal cases are not public, so no one can
Right.
see, and then all these like high-end rich-ass people settle. They all settle. So we get to the point of deposition. I'm like on the steps of the courthouse, and they settle. It's all manipulation and tactic.
Isn't it amazing? Could you imagine if we just could get to a point where we wouldn't be able to manipulate people with money and everyone didn't have a number?
Oh, someone should tell Blake Lively that. Someone should tell Dr. Leslie Dobson or whatever her name is supporting Blake Lively that. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? That people that have a lot of money, and again, I feel like in Blake's case, it's not just money, it's the power. They, wouldn't do that. Yeah, that would be nice.
The tap dancing of the legal system, that's also been one very disappointing thing as I've climbed in my professional career, is to see how fake, lawsuits are all the way to the end, to see the manipulation of information. Even if I'm hired as a rebuttal witness to tear up another psychologist,
Good
rules
luck.
are made to be broken. Rules are made to be interpreted. There's no such thing as an actual rule.
Right. Yeah.
That is the red flag that I was talking about as far as her character as a character witness or whatever.
I've seen that with the law. And I also am a big fan of asking for forgiveness, not permission.
Yes.
Wait for it.
It's done now. You can't do anything.
Wait for it.
They've heard it. Good luck.
Right.
Yeah.
When they say like, oh, strike that from the record. Okay. Well, there's
Okay,
12
but I
people
heard
who
it.
just heard it, but okay.
I hate that this commercial came on right now because I was trying to make a point, and what did I say? We actually had some other commercials, but here's this commercial back. It's not a coincidence. I don't know what it means, but it's not a coincidence. Anyways, let me play that back again. So this is like, keep in mind that she could potentially take the stand, even though she also says like, they're likely going to settle, blah, 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 blah. but she basically insinuated, they both did, that if she takes the stand, she's going to say whatever she feels like saying, even if it's stricken from the record, even if there's objections, blah, blah, blah. But the people heard it already. So, whoops, can't take it back. So, where's her ethics? I was about to scream, but it's too late for that. Let me play this again. From wherever.
Yeah. And even if I'm hired as a rebuttal witness to tear up another psychologist, you know, rules are made to be broken. Rules are made to be interpreted. There's no such thing as an actual rule.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that with the law. And I also am a big fan of asking for forgiveness.
Seen that with the law. I mean, again, this is sorry. I looked at the camera. This is this lady, Kelsey or whatever. Not Leslie, but I mean, they're kind of in sync, right? So rules are meant to be broken. This person saying, I've seen that with the law.
Not permission.
Yeah.
Ask for permission later.
It's done now. You can't do anything about it. They've heard it. Good luck.
Right. Yeah. When they say, like, oh, strike that from the record. Okay. Well,
okay, but I heard it.
You just heard it, but okay.
Yeah. The jury is to discount what they just heard. Okay. When's the last time you ever have told somebody, don't remember that? They immediately go, that's the thing I'm going to hold on to. What are we doing?
I've not been on a jury, but I believe this stuff would discredit you from being on a jury, or should. Like, not this particular, but like something similar. It also should discredit her from being a witness and a character witness or whatever. Not a character witness. What is it? Not a professional. Whatever. The forensic psychology part. She literally, but like Blake Lively did, allegedly. Not really allegedly. I mean, she said it in her own words. Forbes. That was the interview. Blake Lively said at Forbes, you know, she incriminated herself, not just for this case, but in general as an actress that is like, yeah, I go in, them expecting me to be the actress that they hired me as. And I kind of switch it up on them. And is this hot? Gosh, I don't know. Maybe the camera, like, it's not supposed to overheat, but anyways, sorry. It smells like burnt plastic, so, you know, it's not always, like, nice. Nothing's smoking or anything, and everything's kind of unplugged now. But, yeah. Anyways, yeah, she basically, like, incriminated herself as not an ethical professional, someone who is not credible, that will say, we don't know what she'll say, but she'll say things just to get reactions or just to put it out there, and people can't unhear what they heard, even if, like, technically it's stricken from the record. Like, and this is like kind of Blake Lively's approach. They have to, I don't know if CJ, if you're still here, and if you did anything like this, if anyone has done a deep dive or like an investigation, if Elsie, whoever, like, if they're connected, if they're like, you know, knowing each other or whatever, if Lively's team kind of hired her or whatever, but like, it's like the same tactic. Blake Lively put it out there. She put her complaint. You can't unhear that. You can't unsee that. You can't unknow that, what she said. So for Justin to have done the counter suit, even though it's denied or whatever, I can't think of right now, at least, like, he got his words. And yeah, like, it works both ways. But yeah, at least, like, he got, you know, some words to us, public opinion wise. But this is so, like, just really bad for a forensic psychologist to say that she'll say stuff on the stand. You know, better ask for or for apologies after. This is what Kelsey said, but echoing what Leslie was saying. I don't agree and I don't like them. Yeah. Will do, Maria. If he does settle with her, she has to publicly admit that she lied and manipulated. Just yeah, like I don't see I don't not see a settlement because something no, I should say there might not be a settlement, but there might not be a trial is what I see. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. It's like it's anyone's guess how this will go completely right now. Exactly. I would dismiss her words and I wouldn't take her words to heart. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, on a good day, and but someone, if they find a jury that doesn't see this stuff, that doesn't know any of this, and who's going to see this? Because my chat, like, you're five people over here watching this, eight earlier. This is a tiny channel. Maybe people will pick it up. Like maybe CJ, you'll do something. Maybe Lauren will do more. LC, like people will start digging into this, and maybe they'll find this and so forth. But it's still like it's small potatoes here. And in the greater scheme of things, it's small potatoes also. Not every single person in this country, in a way, thankfully, as far as like not, what do you call that? Infecting jury selection or whatever they call it. Um, so, gosh, why is that so hard? Like so to not have that, that's like good, I guess, but also like they should show this stuff if they can as like evidence or whatever they can, like, but yeah, oh gosh, this was my red flag. This was not why I started jotting down notes, because I felt like even the earlier stuff was like, oh, this is something to talk about. But once I hit this, because I almost didn't even hit this, because I was like, oh, this is too much. I was like, this needs to be out there because it's really relevant to this freaking case right now. Um, if she's potentially part of it in any way, as far as like, for instance, psychology or whatever, she better not be the one that evaluated Blake's mental health or whatever. Like, she literally can. Oh, she. I'm still kind of confused why she is practicing or has a license but isn't part of the APA. I'm very confused by that. Like, something's not mathing, right? Not adding up. Anyways, so that was my oh sorry thing.